Have you felt like that this year, trying to hire someone for cybersecurity? I felt like that many times. And I'm asking myself like a question: why it's so difficult to hire? Why it's so difficult to find someone for cybersecurity? Cyber is cool. Cyber is trendy. Cyber pays well. So why is difficult? Why? There is this myth about cybersecurity that it's simple, it's obvious. There are good guys, there are bad guys. Good guys trying to protect, the bad guys trying to penetrate the system. It's easy to find them. Cyber is not complicated. The systems are producing logs. Logs are getting into your CM. You can pick up a rule from Git repo, deploy on your CM, and you are detecting bad guys. Easy. Is it? Okay, so before I move on, I just want to say that every story requires a bit of simplification, so it's fun and we can learn something. And that every story should like make you pose questions. I don't want to answer questions. I want you to leave this room in 30 minutes with questions. I don't leave earlier. Sorry. And every story needs a bit of dramatization, so it's more fun. And maybe I'm going to be exaggerating. You'll find out. But this is not exaggerated. More or less, this is how it looks like when you turn on any detection at any system. It's not obvious anymore. So cyber is not easy. I'm not claiming it's easy, but I think it's fun. And I would like to convince everyone that maybe it's a good way, good opportunity for everyone to go and do some cyber for a living. So I'm Tomasz Podlaski. I'm head of cybersecurity analytics at Credit Suisse. I'm getting paid to detect bad guys, or like to be more serious, I'm running a team who is building detection content for cybersecurity. And I have two goals today. One is convince you or convince someone that you know to start a career as a detection content engineer. And second, if you are hiring managers, I would like to try to answer the question, do you need unicorns day one? Do you need to hire unicorns? Or can you do something that maybe is increasing your chances to have a successful hiring strategy at your company? So the journey. Like the journey is a way of telling your boss that there's just too much work to do and he has to wait for results. But for me, it's a way of saying what I'm going to be doing and how much effort I'm going to putting into an effect that I want to achieve. So let's go for a journey. And you can start journey in very different places. My journey is I want people who are able to detect cyber threats. I can start my journey like that. I need someone who understands how the attacker operates. I need someone that understands how our bank operates. I need someone who is able to tell the stories. I need someone who can think in code. There's a lot. Plus constant learning, and I mean like constant, like nonstop, doesn't end. And I'm like, how many people that have those skills you're going to be interviewing in next 6 months? Probably not many. That's difficult to find. So I was like, okay, Tomasz, you have to change something. You have to do maybe something else because that's just fail. That's going to be fail. And like, can we simplify that? Can I stop discouraging people by writing very complicated job descriptions or putting like 10,000 skills that is like not humanly possible to stay up to date with today? We have to start with something more simple than that. I'm starting with this. Hey, please detect something for me. And this is like my starting point when I'm thinking about teaching someone to detection content. I simplify that. I don't need people who have done it before. I don't need people who know cyber very well. I still need people who are computer literate. Like, I'm not going to teach that to your cat. But first and foremost, I need people who are able to organize their own learning process, because the detection, content, is constant learning. And you will never get probably where you want. So constant learning. And you have to be able to learn. You have to be able to tell what you have learned, what you don't know. And what I will give you real problems to solve. We will going to point you into the right direction, so you know what I actually want from you. And last but not least, team you up with someone who maybe knows a bit more, so you can also get some feedback and understand if you're going in the right direction. So I'm going to, again, have two goals today. One is, if you want to start a career in content development, content engineering, you should consider that. And you don't have to know everything. We can teach you. We can teach you that. And if you're a hiring manager, again, don't put your expectations, or just don't put too many limits, because you will not find a person. Teach yourself to teach people how they can do something that helps you do your job. So we have like lots of people joining our team, and they are different level of experience. We have a TA program, which is like for postgraduate people just out of university coming and joining Credit Suisse. And those are like two stories who are showing how we have approached that problem of, hey, people don't have all the skills we need, day one, and how we have taught them and how we actually went through that process to show them what they can learn, and at the end of the day, contribute positively to our cybersecurity. So first story, meet Alice, Bob, and then service accounts. And again, I'm going to be giving real problems to people. The problems can be known, can be unknown, can be partially solved, can be something new. So the first problem is service accounts. Service accounts, they're just accounts used by programs or services, or by humans, to communicate with one another. They make great victims for many reasons. First of all, they usually have more privileges they should have. And second of all, they have access to many systems. And last but not least, sometimes they don't have all those security features like other accounts. Like there's no 2FA, they can share between team members. Service account is a great victim. And also it's a thing that most attackers would look for or use during the attack. So that's the problem. We will explain how typical attack looks like, so people know where to start. And again, this is something that you have to appreciate. Like, just show the big picture. Understand that you don't have to go into details. Like, don't tell people, hey, you have to learn MITRE. We use MITRE. I know when to apply MITRE, but MITRE is a dictionary. You cannot succeed learning a language reading dictionary. So like, people will not succeed in cybersecurity learning MITRE. They have to know when to use MITRE. So at this point in time, people have enough information to come to you and say, hey, okay, I know what to do. And they will come back and they will say, hey, okay, we can build this detection. It uses Sysmon. And then I go like, okay, those are not the logs you're looking for, because we don't have them. You have to show people what do you have in the environment. You have to show them how the environment looks like. Give them a couple of ideas where they can look for the detection. Some of those data sources are duplicate, so you can find the same information in both of them. Some of them are not relevant to this particular use case. Important thing is people have to synthesize, but they also have to eliminate. So there's always going to be an abundance of information. So learn to synthesize information, but also learn to eliminate. So they should be immediately telling you, okay, this is not relevant. Web proxy is not relevant for this case, maybe. And last but not least, okay, don't give them too big problems to solve. I love the questions like, okay, have you built this detection for lateral movement? I'm like, no, it doesn't exist. You can build a detection for one aspect of one sub-technique of lateral movement, and then you're never going to be covered. So if you want to start something, you just simplify that. Okay, can you do something for Windows SMB lateral movement? So this is like what, like 10, 21, 001. And with this like smaller scope, people actually can advance, can progress. So at this point in time, we gave enough direction and we just waited for results. So what people came back with was that. That's a lot. But generally people said, okay, I understand the scenario. I understand how the account would behave. I would understand what I would see at the source, at the destination. And we want to do that. We have selected 12 distinct features of that account. We are going to be trying to understand the baseline of those accounts. And then we're going to try to find anomalies. And this is more or less a point in time where you, as a kind of SME, you want to say, okay, your idea is good, but maybe you want to simplify that. Go from 14 to 12 features. Don't use the categorical features because that's just different kind of analysis you have to do. So just simplify that. So we have done it. We have put everything into our, say, big table of data. Boom, this is what we got. And this is pretty much where you can go just doing a human-based analysis. Those are behaviors of accounts that we have seen in our environment. I think one of them wasn't compromised, less were. But which? And this is probably where you want to, let's say, start playing with data and applying some machine learning to understand where the anomaly is. And in that case, you can go very different ways. Again, that was an R&D project. We went totally, let's say, did something that we wouldn't do for operationalization of a detection use case. We went into Jupyter Notebook, play around with data, created a very pretty much obvious EDA processing. Clean your data, check if the data has any trends or seasonality, correlate your, what's the correlation between your features. You don't want to have 12 features that are tightly correlated because that would be no value. And then did a bit of dimensionality reduction to come up with the result. And again, guys, this is not important what we have done here. It's the process. It's the process going from the problem to a smaller problem to someone who came with information to you and you guide them through that. This is where we ended. So 4 or 5 anomalies for a single account over a 60 days period. Is that good? Probably not. Because for 1,000 accounts, I would have 100 alerts per day. My SOC would kill me. But was this useful for that person? Was this fun? Definitely. And you should take this kind of approach to learn people, sorry, to teach people how they can go from something that was totally a black box for them to something that actually is already, let's say, not so bad detection. The second story is Claire Danny and process. This is a bit different story because the first one took us a long time from the original problem to actually get some results, and we were like spending time figuring out how are we going to analyze the data. In this, we took a different approach, or the approach was just different. So what are processes? Processes are just programs. You don't see what they are doing. Usually they just run in the background. They are pretty boring, I would say. They always do the same thing. You know, they're predictable. But when there is an attacker, their process would stand out. And of course, this is an assumption. You know, someone can point out, hey, that will not work like that. It's an assumption that we did for that teaching exercise. So we want to identify those processes that stand out. And someone had like very easy idea. This is obvious. Hey, you know, we're just going to look at everything that we are running and find the new thing. Obvious. So we got the results like day 2 working with someone. But then they start realizing that, okay, if I take this approach, if I use names of the processes, I'm not going to go far because this is very easy to circumvent. You just change mimikatz.exe to notepad.exe, you're not finding mimikatz anymore. So they learn that they have to use something else, something that allows uniquely identify a binary, which is a hash. Again, this is obvious for everyone probably in that room, but for that person, that was a new thing. And then they said, okay, so we're going to baseline those hashes over the period of 30 days, and on the day 31, we only see 29 unique SHA-256 hashes in our environment. That's not bad, considering the size of the environment and considering amount of work we put into that. And then we start realizing other problems. Okay, if we baseline every day, that's just too much data to process. So usually all kind of detection that relies on novelty or first never seen event analysis would require two searches. First one that is creating the baseline, and the second one that is just putting the new information and checking against the baseline. Another one was, okay, from time to time we see something new happening in our environment. It just happens everywhere. And that was a significant, that was actually our IT patching or updating our environment. They would just run a new version of, I don't know, Office or whatever in the environment. Then we see those hashes against all the hosts in the environment. So this was a very interesting observation that we've made. And then we know that if we see something on multiple hosts, probably this is not going to be malicious because attacker would focus on only one. Okay, someone can say, hey, ransomware. Yeah, that doesn't account for that scenario. So again, two different scenarios, two different approaches. The bottom line of that is small steps, guide your people from zero knowledge to where you want them to go. First approach, lots of data analysis to end up with the result. The second, results were there immediately, but right now you have to fine-tune that. You have to consider new possibilities. The common denominator for all of that is we are having a lot of fun doing that. Even working in a financial institution allows you to do this kind of analysis, do this kind of work, this kind of R&D. I would have to say I'm pretty lucky having the team that I have and being where I am. And that, does it stop? No, it never stops because there's always something else to consider. We have been detecting those new hashes that we have never seen in the environment. But someone can say, yeah, but an attacker can use something that is actually embedded in the environment, like lol beans. So those are those programs that are there and they can be just used for malicious purpose. So again, the process never stops. It's constant learning. So I'm just encouraging everyone to have the courage of start that constant learning journey and join us at Credit Suisse or different company and just start doing that. Tomasz Podlaski, Credit Suisse. Thank you.
So it's time for the questions. So anyone have any question maybe? No? So thank you very much, and we're going to next.
Thank you.